Hi, class. We're with Dr. Tom Weissling, who is a professor of entomology and also the coordinator of our distance education MS in entomology program. Dr. Tom's going to talk to us today about what it's like to be sort of administrator or manager of a program, as well as an instructor as a distance ed instructor in that program for a number of years. So we're going to get his perspective. What I like about these presentations is they're mostly conversational, and Dr. Weissling and I do a lot of discussing even outside of this and outside of work about things. So Tom's good to have a conversation with. What do you think?
Whatever you say, Doug.
I used to do this class where I had students prep questions ahead of time. I've changed that in a number of years because everybody's schedules for finding guest speakers are really tight. A lot of times we're doing the week of. And so you, like in the other lectures, guest lectures this semester, will be sort of responding and reacting to what they say. I have a list of questions now that I've taught this course for a number of years that students have asked. So I've got my notes here, and we're going to go through them. You know, Dr. Weissling, tell us a little bit about yourself in about 2 minutes about sort of your background and how you got into this position a number of years ago.
I like squirrels, Doug.
You like squirrels?
Yeah, squirrels are cool. I got ADD, so I see squirrels and I freak out. Anyway, I didn't get into this position because of squirrels. My background is entomology. I've been in entomology since I was an undergrad at Colorado State University in 1980, so it's been quite a while. And my earliest background was doing research, and then I started doing some teaching, and through a series of events ended up here at UNL, where I was working in the plant path department for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And then UNL had started this online program in 1995, and it was growing and growing, and I was lucky enough in 2006 to be selected as the coordinator for that position.
So, you interview for a job in this position, much like any staff or faculty member does. And
it's a competitive
position.
Process, yeah.
Did you know you're getting into when you applied to the job as far as day-to-day management of a program like this?
I had a little bit of experience down at the University of Florida in Fort Lauderdale managing. We had an online program, and we were an off-campus station, so I had a little bit of experience in that program, making sure all the scheduling was done right. We had classes, advising the students, making sure everything was flowing through. So I had a little bit of exposure to that, but nothing in online.
So you had distance sort of management with students that maybe stationed there doing their work and then taking classes.
Yeah, it was a commuter campus, so we did not teach online at that point. Students came onto campus, and your class maybe met on Monday from 6 till 10.
Okay.
At night.
So that was like a classic of taking entomology or something, right? Mm-hmm. So you were doing like hort insects.
Yeah, I was doing hort insects, urban entomology, integrated pest management, identification of insects, insect classifications.
I don't think I knew you had kind of done some distance management before that. So
well, these were on-campus students, but it was a different type. It wasn't a normal college setup.
Cool.
So we had a lot of pest control operators would come. Like I had a class Tuesday nights. They would show up from 6 till 9 or 10 and learn about urban entomology. Wednesday I'd have a class from 6 till 10, learning about something else. Maybe it was a Saturday class. So.
Okay. Cool. And just for folks that aren't familiar with Florida, Fort Lauderdale is down here. UF is up here, not as far as the peninsula of Florida is.
300 miles apart.
That's amazing. 300 miles apart. That's kind of like what we have in Nebraska as far as Lincoln and then Scottsbluff, which is way out west. So the students have been learning about history of distance education and purpose of sort of getting people educated that aren't close to a location, which has started hundreds of years ago. Yeah. Now we have the internet. Almost all programs are online. I think they all are online for the most part. So
well, UF was going to online at that point. I was there 95 through 2000. In about 97, 98, they started doing more and more. But it was video. It was not asynchronous. It was synchronous. Yeah. But they were connecting, like there were research stations in Vero Beach, down in Homestead, Popka, different stations around the different warm places in Florida. Let's just put it that way. where students were then connected. So I made, I never got involved in this, but if I was teaching in Fort Lauderdale, it could be filmed and broadcast via satellite. And we had satellite hookups. We weren't doing internet or anything, to a location off-site.
So satellite, we've talked a little bit about in this course about satellite instruction. He literally means satellite location, but also connected through satellite, which was a big deal, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Still is done some places, and now with the kind of technologies we have, we are communicating via internet, satellite connections. Your wireless Verizon or those companies go up to satellite and back down. But a big deal because they had to have a lot of expensive equipment, and almost like a stage and everything there.
We had to buy satellite time.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Yeah. Satellite time. This is aging Tom here. But satellite time. That's amazing. So cool. So kind of a history there, and you got into this program. We're going to break this up a little bit because I think it's especially important that students know that this is just one aspect of your job. So you have 3 phases, correct me if I'm wrong. You have teaching, research, you're a faculty, like an associate professor. And so you've got those responsibilities, and then you've got the program management responsibilities, coordination. Right? And so that's really a 3-part job. One of the questions I have, which I think I know the answer, but if you were to average out your time over the year, you still have research and teaching responsibilities. What would you... As far as program management, as far as coordinating, emailing students, getting the program going, recruitment, how much percentage of time do you think, if you spread it across the whole year, that you spend actually managing students?
Managing the program students. Well, let's go.
Minus teaching.
Okay.
And we'll get to teaching.
I would say I probably spend half my time.
Okay.
With student management, probably answering emails, and I don't do nearly as much now because we hired Aaron Bauer.
Some people may know Aaron.
Yeah. And Aaron takes care of a lot of the academic advising sorts of things and keeping track of where students are progressing, which has been a huge relief for me. But before that, I was probably spending 50, 60% of my time just managing emails, questions, making sure everybody's memorandum courses were put together.
So you're at 50% of time now across the year?
No. Now I'm probably more focused just on the program itself, probably about 20% of my time.
So you're at 50, you were at 50, we have some extra help or somebody to help do some of that work, 20% now. How many hours do you work a week? Like average, you probably work 60, right?
Yeah, probably 60.
So about 1/3 of your time, 20 hours a week. I think it's always good for graduate students to hear that because most faculty work that are advancing 60 hours a week or more. Spread out across the day. Tom spends 20 of that right now in managing the program, building the program. So 1/3 of his time. And then you still have, let's go into research. You're rebuilding a research program or building a research program. You probably spend, if you were to calculate across this year, 10 hours a week?
Ish.
10-ish a week.
Yeah, most of it's summertime. So I cleared out my teaching load in the summertime. So from the end of the spring semester to the beginning of the fall semester, I'm free.
So you've got, if including the research, you got about 30 hours a week of that 60. The rest is spent doing what besides committees, which you always
committee
5 to 10. What about your teaching?
Teaching is a huge.
How many hours a week?
I'd say probably another 20 to 25, 30. And then we also have I've been and coordinated an undergraduate program that we have here too. So that's hopefully getting some relief. So, yeah, I spend probably, I would say, 5 to 6 hours a week per class.
Okay.
And right now I got 4 classes.
So it gives you a sense. You spend about 25 hours a week teaching, in preparing classwork, 20 on the sort of program management, another 10 on research, 5 somewhere in there on just sitting in more of that time is spent in meetings. But, I just like to give folks a sense of what those percentages because I think it's realistic. When you are taking a job where you are doing really 3-way split, where you have research, teaching responsibilities, and by the way, program management responsibilities, it's pretty full plate.
Yep.
Right? So, yeah.
Well, some of the things we do, too, it's not just committees and stuff. So there's you always need to push yourself to try to become a better instructor, better supervisor. So there's always opportunities to do teaching improvement things. So today was, 2.5 hours out of my day for one that I meet with once a month. So it's Faculty Learning Center, we're learning about new student experiences for undergraduates, and it's really a neat reflective sort of activity. So if you do one of those types of activities every once a year at least, it does take some time. So, but it's necessary to just keep you developing as a teacher or being a better coordinator or supervisor.
Yeah, the stuff that isn't accounted for necessarily on our annual reports, which we do fill out. So on to the next question. We talked about time, but we haven't talked about any about your job as far as distance ed program stuff. We know you teach. We won't go into that or research. Every research differs. What do you do as far as program management for the distance program?
Well, it's, like I said, it's gotten better with Aaron. Originally, it was answering recruitment questions, it was answering student questions, making sure memorandum courses are filled out, making sure that everything's in place for students to get through and succeed, managing where they are in the program, setting up their online exams, their written exams, taking care of their capstone experiences, all of these different moving parts. There's all these different moving parts which I probably will not be able to articulate all of them that are there, but I learned as I went along how they all work,
right?
And try to find ways to make the program work better.
So we'll have to make sure we speak up. Our mic's a long ways away. I'm definitely going to bump it up a little bit, but I speak louder than you do.
I just taught for an hour, so my voice is...
You're out. I know. Totally. So you have a lot of little tasks there. One thing you mentioned about, so the other stuff around that, which are not maybe daily activities. I mean, I know you're talking to students, emailing students. What about things like recruitment? Let's talk about this generally about what somebody in this position does, and the things you do for that. You've got other things as far as advertising. You've got the sort of meeting with faculty. Believe it or not, you can't do anything on your own in a department. You can't say, I'm going to offer a distance program. You don't make any good friends that way. The system is set up so there's a lot of input from faculty. What about those kind of things, Tom, that you do for your job?
It's constant. I mean, it's a lot of, well, now that you mention it, we do that all the time and never think much about it. So, yeah, trying to arrange classes, just doing that with people coming and going and deciding, well, we need a new class, then you have to get the instructor to get the class put together and then enter it into a system. Then first we got to get it through our departmental curriculum committee.
Curriculum committees. Every university has them. We have a departmental, and then what?
At college, and then you got if it's a graduate level course, it goes to grad studies for approval. If it's undergraduate, then it goes to the undergraduate curriculum committee, which I was on for 3 years, which I'm not anymore. Yay.
Good. And I'm not on it, which I like, so that's good.
If we decide that we're going to alter a class, we have to do at least departmental curriculum committee approval. If we're getting rid of prerequisites, everything's got to go through approval. So there's all of these programmatic changes that we establish through time. Naturally, it's just the evolution of a program. And people coming and going, we have to adjust. We always have to adjust our courses, right?
Right.
And we add some, we take some away. But you have to be able to coordinate that in such a way that it has the least impact on the students, and you can get it done in a timely enough manner where the old is out and the new's in place and can be.
So what do you mean by that? So if a course is rotated out, people might be thinking about taking that course years out, right? On a memorandum of courses. So you can't just, let's say, you're going to have people that get run over by a bus or retire or quit. People are expecting to take those courses. So you can't just, if you no longer want to teach it, just say, I'm not teaching it next fall. Yeah. You've got to phase it out and then have something essentially to replace it in a program like this, because we have, how many courses do we have just general that we offer?
14 or 15.
14 or 15. That's 35 credit hours for 45 credit hours for a 36 credit hour course. You can imagine it, or a program. You can imagine if you cut some of those out, there isn't a lot of room because people don't always, we do have some set required courses in our program one, right? I think, or two.
We got two.
Two right now that all students have to take, but not everybody wants to take all these courses. Some people don't want to hear me blather on about how to develop a distance course. Just doesn't interest them. So you just can't remove courses out of a program.
Yeah. And
easily you got to have something to replace it. And it takes time.
It takes time. You also have to keep a variety of classes available, and that's kind of a bigger challenge, especially in a smaller department. And we are a smaller department. We have people doing a lot of teaching, and you can sometimes lose the interest of the student because they've taken the classes, because you're only offering 3 a semester.
Right.
And so you need more than that. You need the variety that keeps the student in. So it's not just getting the student when they come say, hey, I want to do online classes, and they're very excited about it, but either things aren't moving along fast enough because we just aren't offering the classes they want often enough, or they start and they get going and then they got 6 more credit hours, but they take all the classes they want. So adding new classes in and scheduling them in the best way is incredibly helpful for keeping students.
And you spend a lot of time doing that.
Yeah.
I know that because we've talked about it quite a little bit, but trying to get new course offerings.
Mm-hmm.
And you're also, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're also trying to meet the market a little bit too,
right,
because new topics come up and you want to try to address those. The science changes,
mm-hmm,
right? So yes, physiology, yes, how to identify insects, yes, ecology is important for insects, probably always will be, but other topics come up that
right,
you're trying to attract students into.
right. And for example, we had a struggle we lost our ecology instructor, so we had to put the graduate level ecology on hold until we could get somebody in place that's going to be able to teach ecology and put it online. And it looks like that's in place, but there's a lot of working that had to go into that. So
with that, this is a good segue. What kind of students take this program or are enrolled in our program as far as full-time, or not full-time, but students that are involved in the MS degree program? Mm-hmm. What kind of students take those program degrees?
Most of the students are non-traditional age. I haven't done an average lately, but it used to be average about late 30s to early 40s. Okay. Would be the average age of the students. Our students are employed in some way. Typically, we don't have a typical student that is taking classes full-time. Okay. And if you ever are administrating an online program, students want to start off and take 9 credit hours. And I strongly...
9 credit hours first semester, 9 credit hours a semester. Huh?
I very strongly discourage that. Try one class first, see how it goes, because sorry, I'm getting off topic, but the online environment, as you know, is not like the on-campus environment. So some students have a really hard time saying, okay, I'm going to treat this like a regular class because it's asynchronous. Every Thursday at 7 in the evening, I'm going to devote 2 to 3 hours to this particular class, or Tuesday, Thursdays. And students don't do that. They don't do anything up until the time, a test is due in 2 days, and they're going back and trying to go through all of the 3 weeks worth of lectures, and then they panic, and then they don't get it done, and then they get discouraged. And so that's why I always say, just start off with 1 credit till you get the hang of how it works. Okay. So now back to your original question. That was a squirrel.
Oh, squirrel off topic. Okay.
Yeah. If our students are non-traditional age, they have a career, they have families typically, they are juggling a lot of things time-wise. Things come up all the time related to family, and we're flexible with that because life gets in the way sometimes. All right, so what the people do, back to programs.
Right? Back to who's taking the programs.
Squirrels. Back to who's taking programs. We have, really, there's a lot of careers out there. Our students are... they've got careers, they got families, they've got all kinds of things going on. They're busy people, but they are primarily, we've got teachers, okay, we've got agricultural chemical industry, so they're either support or they're in the research field. For that, we've got extension agents in there. Right. We got military students, active duty military, that can be deployed at any time and are found in a lot of places.
Yeah, I had a student in Iraq once that was when there was that war zone was big, and they had mortars that were firing, and he had insect attractors, so he took some photos for me out of the fire base.
Yeah, I've gotten things like, "Sir, sorry, I cannot submit my quiz right now because we've been under fire for 3 days." And you're just like, "It's okay."
Pretty amazing to have students take those courses. I mean,
The devotion.
The devotion to that. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
And I don't think there's anything unique to our program. I know that a lot of other fields have the exact same thing. So we've got a wide variety of folks that take this program. One thing do you know, and I think this is for students, a lot of you taking this course are not entomologists. So you're taking an entomology, you're taking a course on how to teach, but it's offered through entomology or ALEC. So you have a lot of people that take the courses that aren't entomologists as well, right?
Right.
As a sort of elective course for another program.
Yeah.
What are the percentages? Do you have any idea for that?
It's pretty low. Most of the students in your class is an exception.
Right.
But most of the students we have in classes are either in entomology program or we're starting to get some students from like agronomy coming in and take, because entomology, one of our colleagues will say entomologists are biologists with jobs, which is kind of accurate. We are biologists, but we are very applied biologists. So we're doing work to mostly centers around killing insects.
Some.
So
some of us conserve insects.
I've diverged from that because I did that early in my career, and now I'm trying to atone for all the insect death and go forward with. So
you're trying to get into heaven or something, right?
I'm trying to make amends on that.
You got a long ways to go, Tom.
I know. I'm still working on it, but
it's easier to kill than to conserve for insects.
So now I'm just working on conservation and don't kill insects.
So and I think it's our programs aren't atypical. You get some elective students to fill out a program. My courses have me a little bit different. So I do more on the teaching side, so appeals and an option. Another group is on-campus students that do take a course that aren't offered another way, or it just fits their timing better. So it's another bit of flexibility for distance delivered online courses. Sometimes it's what fits your program or what's available. So if you need to graduate sooner, you're on a different timeline than a course that might be offered every other year. An online version might work for you. So we see more of that.
So it's interesting when you bring that up, because I think we really are trying to, administratively or coordination-wise, I'm trying to promote non-insect science or non-entomology majors to take the classes, which I'm really loving agronomy coming over for, because, and I don't want to dehumanize this, but we're after enrollment.
Right. All departments, all universities, all colleges are competing for enrollment for the pool that's out there.
So maybe you're not one of our majors, but that's fine by me because you are taking our class, and that bolsters, we're rated on student credit hours that we generate. So it's helpful to get all students in. So when we try to do a little bit of recruitment, we're really taking an angle to try to get, considering non-majors that may want to take the class.
So speaking of recruitment, how do distance programs, and you can speak to ours or other, especially others in the university too, how are we recruiting students? Like what kind of activities? How do people find us? That kind of stuff.
Well, we've tried a lot of different interesting ways. We have a whole program here on campus that I forget what it was even called. It's not really in existence much.
Online worldwide, right? Wasn't that?
Well, it was just the university specific one. So we got the University of Nebraska's 4 campuses, if you don't know. So UNL, I worked with those people for marketing. So we were specifically marketing about 8 of our online programs, and we had some success, not very much. We were trying to advertise in trade journals, professional journals, our Entomological Society of America. We picked up a few, but the best recruitment for us has been, and we said this for quite a while, develop a good program, and word of mouth will carry this program through. Now, that's been true, and we've been getting people just from, I was told by so-and-so to check out your program because it's really good. Also, when they go online and search for online entomology or biology degrees, they'll pick us up at some point and contact us, and then we get back to them and convince them that we have a great quality program. But we are really starting to, and I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and starting to put more effort into making a directed marketing or recruitment sort of push, yeah, because we need to bring those numbers back up.
Well, in our numbers, and I just asked Aaron, who is one of our lecturers, and also Tom with program managers, about 80 active students. That means they took a class last semester or within a semester. And then we have another 100 or so that maybe have taken a semester off between the last one and this one. And so those aren't considered to be active. I mean, they're actively in the program, but they just haven't taken a course maybe in 6 months. So be a pretty large program. You think you have 180 students somewhere, 80 that are progressing real fast through the program. Quite a number of folks that you have one full-time individual managing as a part of their time. And they pay more for the online courses too, right?
A little bit more. Yeah.
A little bit more.
Oh, yeah. You got the out-of-state tuition.
Yeah.
And then there's fees.
Quite expensive. But like for a lot of people, they can't really do a degree other way. They're place bound or career bound or time bound. So
it is expensive. I did have one person came up and because I said our tuition is whatever it was, and I said it's a little expensive. He goes, no, not from what I've seen. It's not. And he was gave me various names, and I looked up tuition. And it's like $1,800 a credit hour.
Yeah.
So that makes us look like a real bargain.
Well, but what's the value in it? So tell me about some of the successes you've had with students. Tell us about that a little bit and what the value is to someone. I mean, yes, job advancement, but we've had some success stories. And what's the value to our students in a program like this?
Well, let's look at our latest hire.
Okay. Faculty position.
Faculty position. Louise Lynch started off. She was on the East Coast. She was looking for some sort of program to get into. She was working mosquito abatement and decided to get out of that. But she was looking for entomology education. She found us. She thrived in that environment. She got her degree. She did a really amazing capstone project. This is the last project our students, a project they do in lieu of the thesis. And then she came here and she did a PhD with Doug. And then she left for 2 years to work for some private firm nearby, conservation types of things, educational things.
Yeah.
And now she's back here. I mean, that's a great success story. We've had students that have been in the Army as a sergeant. We had one, she was in the Army as a sergeant. She went through the program, and she, not long after she graduated, they stripped her sergeant bars off and gave her lieutenant. She promoted her right to lieutenant. So, yeah, there's all the job advancement things that you see, but for others, it's not really the job advancement. It's, and I call these people the enthusiast. They have always loved insects for some reason. They did not go into an entomological field. Now it's kind of like I get to live my dream and take entomology classes and earn a degree.
I mean, an oral surgeon. Did he graduate yet?
No.
Okay, but he's took courses online. He's in his 60s. I had him in class. Really interesting guy. He has a very good paying job, more than Tom and I make. I'm absolutely certain of that. But he just wanted to do it because he was always into bugs. Yeah, I'm sure combined. But
he loves bugs.
Yeah, but he loves insects. Now, and other fields are the same way. We've got non-entomologists in here. I think I've heard other stories from other degrees as well, engineering even. Speaking of that, I know, and this is coming back to the historical perspective for, we haven't talked much about this in class, but at one time, these sort of distance courses were sort of looked down upon by a lot of universities, even universities like University of Nebraska. They weren't considered they're sort of threatening to how things were traditionally done. This program started at a time 20-some years ago when distance education online was fairly new. And we went through some transitions with some of our older faculty, some of the faculty that were skeptical of whether you could even do a master's degree online. How has that changed over the years? Because I don't see that anymore personally. For the most part, for our younger faculty, the people that are here actively engaged in all aspects of scholarship and teaching and research, the newer faculty.
The newer faculty have never questioned it. You're right, people that have been in their career for a while. It's a new thing, and I don't know that there's a lot of data that is out there that shows online education is as effective as on campus. So there isn't that. It's just, I just think it's a perception issue that's sort of eroding through time as we get younger faculty in. But there still is that resistance out there, and I do hear from other coordinators that have issues from time to time with their faculty trying to convince them of that they need an online program, and an online program would be incredibly beneficial to the education of the students that would be in their department.
Right.
You know, that would be graduates of their department. And there is some pushback. No, they can't get a degree distance. It's not the same. And it's not the same equivalently. You know, we got thesis and non-thesis based, but it is the same educationally in the philosophical parts of it as well.
Right. And to clarify, our program, our distance program is more like a professional program in that students don't do a thesis. They can. We've had one or two do that, but most of them do project based. That's how they get their MS instead of doing a dissertation, which is as much or more work in many cases. Like in a master's education, the same thing here. There's an option 1, option 2. We have what's called an option 3, essentially, what students do. And we've had many students go on from that. It's not meant to be necessarily a terminal degree, but we have a lot go on for PhDs elsewhere and even here because they're getting equivalent training in their field, courses in their field. They're also performing well. And what Tom was saying about, for a while they were calling these studies no difference or no significant difference studies in educational technology for distance courses. They do all these tests and the same factors they would evaluate their students on, quizzes, exams, projects students would do typically just as well in a on-campus online environment. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One is the students that are successful find success either online or in person. And frankly, a lot of people lecture. And so if you're lecturing online, you can read or watch. If you're being evaluated by performance as far as quizzes and exams, why would that be any different in person or online if you're using sort of standard teaching techniques? We'll get in later in the semester about active learning online and engagement, that sort of stuff. You still have to work hard on that online to make that happen. So anyway, that's just a sort of a side note. Kind of keep us going through a few of the questions, Tom, so I want to be conscious of your time and the classes as well. Tom and I can sit here and talk for hours about this stuff, and I know you may not necessarily want to do that. I don't think Tom really wants to do it.
I got classes to get to.
He's got classes to get to.
Online classes.
I do too. You mentioned earlier about success for students. How do you prepare a student to do online programs? Like, what would you say to a student that is thinking about, besides, you mentioned one thing like start slow, take one class, not 9 credit hours the first semester. What advice would you give them?
Manage your time very carefully. You have to set aside the time to do the online class. Like I said, you're working during the day, you just have to say, okay, your kids are in bed by 8 or something, then you just devote 8 to 10 every night or 3 nights a week or whatever to do your online stuff. And what I've noticed is a lot of students like to do weekends,
right,
which makes sense. So I tend to put out quizzes and things just to ruin on the weekend, just to ruin.
That's what my stuff is, do Sunday nights.
Yeah, so it's
because I think I get simple. A lot of them aren't going to work not on this Monday nights, I don't like Monday nights. I'm fried first day of back to work for the weekend.
Yeah, so get it done early. So time management's one of them. The other thing is you got to keep a goal in mind. And your goal is you want the degree. For whatever reason is you want that degree, and you always got to keep that goal at the very forefront of your thoughts, especially when you're frustrated and you're tired and it doesn't seem like it's going to go anywhere. You have a goal. You got into the degree to get that degree. Keep that in mind. And the other thing is you got into this program or a program because the people that you applied for a program and people reviewed it and they had faith that you could complete the program. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in it. So keep that in mind too, that you have a goal in mind and you have people that believe in you, that know you can get through the program.
Right, because there's a screen up front for being in a program. Now, for the non-program students, maybe I've got some students here, probably maybe the only course they're going to take online in their doctorate program or master's program. what sort of general things during the semester, besides time management, can you think of that are important keys for success in a course? That may be different than like a typical course. I mean, we know you gotta study and do the work
and keep up with it.
Keep up with it. What else?
Really focusing on why are you taking the class? You know, what's this class adding to your degree? And is it just that you think it's just fun? Or is it something that brings in some deep knowledge that you've always wanted? Or learning a different way to think?
What if they don't? See, I got students in this course right now. What if they don't? What if they're just, this course stinks? I don't want it. You're setting me up, Tom. I have one to add to that, and this is kind of the faculty side of things. These courses are a lot more work to prep, I think, to get ready, to keep up on. Faculty face all the same stuff you're facing. They've got a lot of them have families. If they don't have families, they're certainly busy. And I do redo my materials a lot every semester, so that's why you see stuff kind of the week of getting developed, because this is a new lecture this year for our. I've used Tom and I have done this several times for this class. I kind of update it every other year with him. So we're constantly rebuilding stuff. One I have is persistence with faculty, because you email them, and if they miss your one of 90 or 100 emails that day, or if there's a glitch in the system, like somebody emailed me through Canvas, and usually it bumps to my email. Yeah. It didn't the other day, and I went in there and saw all these emails yesterday. I don't know why. Something's going on there. But anyway, how do you one thing keeping up with faculty and making sure you're in communication with them, what kind of recommendations do you get?
Give. Like you said, we do also try to have a little bit of time to ourselves. So for me, I will answer an email quickly if it's an easy answer to give and it's important at that time. Because I will check it. We're always checking our emails. We're checking our email, yeah. I mean, that's a constant. But just because I don't respond does not mean that I didn't get it. Does not mean that you're not important. It's just that it can wait a little while, and I will get to it. But from an instructor standpoint, we are putting a lot of time into this preparation and trying to give you the best class that we possibly can. Sometimes we get behind on things, and sometimes, in my case, I may cancel a quiz or two,
right,
or three. It just depends.
I've moved things around a little bit. Yeah. Depends on the students too. We've got a smaller class this semester. We adjust a little bit. I try not to do that because I know students are trying to think ahead. One thing I do is just as an instructor, knowing myself, is I have a 24-hour get back to you policy. Yeah. If I foul that up somehow and don't do it, don't be afraid to send me the same dang email again. There's nothing like, and sometimes I've missed it generally. Sometimes if I've said, oh, that's a complicated answer, I don't think I have 5 minutes. It's going to take me 20 minutes to respond to that. Remind me again. Usually you're going to guilt me into like, oh gosh, I forgot to do that.
And that's usually the case.
And I've done that many times. My wife said, what's going on? It's like 9 at night. I'm like, I totally forgot that.
Well, okay. So when an email comes into my system, I look at it and then I flag it. Okay. This I need to answer. So then I go through at some point during the day and go through the flagged ones. Well, sometimes somehow I think I flagged it like it's 9:30 at night and I'm looking at it and a dog barks or a cat jumps on me or something, and I may not have flagged it. Yeah. And I don't get back to you. Yeah, get back to us.
So to the students, I know this sounds like an excuse, but it's sort of real world stuff. It's sort of an insight from the faculty end of things. We try to do those kind of things. Another thing that you can help us with, and this is for you taking this course, this is about teaching a course, is I used to do this in the past, and I do less of this now, but I used to give an example email. When you email me, I do this for undergraduates especially, here's the 3 things you do. Who you are, because if it's a huge course, sometimes you don't know the students individually. Mm-hmm. This course is not a problem, okay? Because I know Canvas tells me who you are and everything when the email comes out. And then what you need, what you need help with very specifically, put those in bullet points and make the email short as possible. Right. With giving me all the information that you think you would need for me to be that you thinking from the standpoint of instructor what I would need to know to answer that question. It is very hard if I have to touch a conversation more than once. A lot less likely we're going to get a quick answer on something. So in the past, you used to have students saying, "Hi, I have a problem with Blackboard or with Canvas," and I'm like, first of all, what problem is it? Where are you having the problem? What did you do leading the problem? We'd have like 10 emails back and forth, and that is frustrating from an instructor standpoint because I'm trying to get your response, and if also if the email is really long, the chance I'm going to finish reading that is real low during the day, and you're stuck with me at 10 at night. If I don't get it 10 at night, it ain't happened until the next 10 at night. Yeah. So anyway, that's a long-winded thing. That's a big thing I think is a success for students. Be persistent, be polite, but also help your instructor out a little bit, and it goes a long way. I give and take quite a bit with my students. A couple other things. We got a little bit more, Tom, and I want to then cut it off here. We know technology has changed over time. And it's gotten a lot better. We're able to do things like this that weren't possible 10 years ago and get it up, this video, even recording this and getting to a place where you can consistently, easily see it on your computer. Internet speeds are faster. The technology's better. We know that's changed. What do you think the biggest change has been as far as technology the last 15 years and currently what's helping us be better instructors in this situation? Do you have any insight on that?
Well, from my standpoint,
Yeah.
as far as what?
For just managing a distance program and teaching in that program.
Wow. You got me stumped. Let me just start by talking about Google. I call it the Oracle. You can get information just so quickly, which is actually beneficial for teaching because you don't have to, we don't want you to just say, well, go Google it. But at least if you have a question, we can always say, you have this amazing search engine available to you. Rather than ask me, why don't you go look for it? And then you can get back to me and say, this is what I found. What do you think? And then I go, yeah, that's exactly what I would have told you. But, yeah, I get that a lot. What's this insect do? Google it.
Yeah,
but that's not really answering your question. But I never do this video stuff. I narrate my lectures, and then
I do too for the lecture parts. Mostly.
Yeah, for the lecture parts. But the video stuff is kind of a new thing to me. But I've seen people do all kinds of things. Went from beginning with satellite hookups, relaying from classroom to other classrooms, all synchronous to this asynchronous delivery format that we have. And back when I first started, there were all kinds of DVDs of people's lectures that they recorded.
VHS, when I started doing
VHS was the first.
You got videotape, stack of videotape, a box about that big with all the videos for each lecture.
Welcome to class.
VHS, cassettes.
Here's a bunch of
If you don't know what that is, they look like little cassette tapes. Oh, you probably don't know what that is. It's how you listen to music, but this was video, the 80s, early 90s.
With magnetic tapes in them.
Yes.
But it played, they got to know what VHS is. But
I don't know. There's a few here that are getting close. We're about out of that era for kids.
It's the ability to, I guess the neatest technological advancement to me is just, right now we're narrating PowerPoints and turning them into movies. So you get to play a movie rather than, and you're still seeing slides, but really you can kick it, and pause it when you want to. But the neat thing is you can download it and you can take it with you.
Right.
Or if it's a streaming video, you can have a link for it. And if you have internet access, you can get to it. So you can travel and be a student. In almost anywhere you have internet access, you can have access to your class. And that's neat.
Yeah. Well, the speed and these little guys, these devices here, getting video portable. I've done some stuff in some classes with portable video. To have students do this and send it to you used to be impossible. Yeah. Just couldn't do it. In the last 5 years, especially 10 years, it's if you want to go that far back, it just kind of started. So, ability for students to produce stuff is phenomenally better. And I don't have to have you buy a special camera. I don't have to give you personalized instructions for your device. Most of the procedures students either know or it's very similar for an Apple phone for this example, or Samsung or LG. It's all Android, Google. It's all fairly similar.
That's amazing to me because my first computer took 2 floppy drives that you had to put in each side. One had the operating system, one had the files. It was terrible. It was clunk.
This is where I think Tom's hit the time wall that most people are going to understand in this class this semester. Yeah, you're talking about. That's okay.
There's got to be videos of it.
There is. They can go look it up. The 5-inch floppy? You can look that up.
Yeah, 5 1/4. There's 3 1/2 hard ones, which were higher capacity, but then there were the 5 1/4 inch floppy disks. And
yeah, just look that up.
Yeah.
Well, one last question I have.
It's historical.
One last question I have is like Alan Turing over here cracking the Enigma code on the fancy machines over here from World War II. It's like that's what it means to most of the students in class. Might as well be that. If you don't know that reference, go look it up too. Very fascinating story. One last thing. We talked about what makes a student successful or what advice you can give them. Why do students quit these programs typically in your experience?
Quitting, yeah, that's unfortunate. Students put a lot of time in the application. They start in the class. I've seen students quit for a couple reasons, and these were students, I hate to say that, were a little bit more of my age group. That we used to have these things called correspondence course, and essentially what you sent in money, they gave you some readings that they
and you got a degree without much work.
Yeah, you didn't have to do a whole lot to get it. So part of it is I thought this was going to be a correspondence degree, and it's not.
We're not. We're an institution that actually teaches and expect students to be actively learning.
Yeah.
And, it isn't just like check a box and you get a grade.
Like here, I sent you $1,500. You send me a grade, and everything's fine. So that's one reason people quit. But primarily, things happen. I mean, and this is not uncommon. We've had all of us as instructors and me as program coordinator and other coordinators have faced some just incredible stories of hardship that students have had, including deaths and life-changing and the divorces and jobs moving. All kinds of things can happen. And we try to be very sensitive to that, and we try as much as possible just to give the student incomplete. Now, if you're not active for about 2 semesters or so, graduate studies puts you into a on hold mode. So you have to actually contact, when you're ready to start again, contact graduate studies and get it going again. The unfortunate part is graduate classes only have a shelf life of 10 years.
Well, it used to be 7. He says unfortunate. I think that's pretty generous, really. And
unless you are on year 9 and you
true. Then you have problems at the very end of year 9.
Yeah,
yes.
And that happens to us. I got to finish my degree. Okay, you got 18 credits to take in 9 months, so you're going to be busy if you're going to do that. So if you are starting a graduate program and you decide to put it on hold, don't do it for very long. Come back to it. That's advice we try to give.
Recommendation for students.
Yeah. Because usually what we end up with is somebody saying, well, I didn't know there was a shelf life on my classes. That's pretty common.
Excuse me. Got some dust in my nose or something.
Yeah.
Not
cat here.
Yeah, maybe cat here. Yeah.
My daughter has a cat.
Squirrel. Okay, Tom. So we're at time. I want to be conscious of your time and Tom's time. Thank you very much. There's a clap. Tom did an excellent job.
Hey, there's a duck over there.
Yeah, there's a duck. Thank you for your insight about program management and teaching and sort of how this has changed and for you over the years, but also as a program. I think some really insightful stuff. I really liked your comments on student success and sort of how the programs are used by people to advance in their careers. Really good information. As we go through, we'll have more discussions about this in this class. But thanks again.
Sure.
I don't know what background. We're doing this via green screen. What background we put behind us. Tom and I are now seeing maybe a beach. We'll do something. Tom likes to go to the beach and that kind of stuff. So maybe we'll do that. But anyway, thank you very much. Thank Dr. Tom. Thank you again. And we'll see you later.
Bye.